Hi, this is Dr. Cindy Joseph, and welcome back to The Witch Fulfilled. So, on this episode, I want to talk about some of the updates that I've had since the last time we talked about my spiritual awakening journey. I think that that is so overdue because so much have happened since the last time I spoke. I want to pick back up on the part of my life where Source brought to my attention that I need to focus on self-love. So I had found myself in a situation with my family where I just was not at the best place with them. I still had like a good girl sense of identity at the time. And because of that, I found myself really trying to come to grips with that. And what does that mean for me? So I was in a situation where decisions had to be made. And I decided to choose myself. When you are moving out of your old self, what happens is that you begin to find yourself in circumstances where your new self is going to begin to test itself out. So you'll be in situations where you have to be confronted with in this situation, am I going to choose my old self or am I going to choose my new self? And that was the situation I was in. I found myself choosing my new self, but still feeling guilt with regards to feelings that I still harbored from my old self. So while I still chose myself, I still wondered if I was being a good girl. There's a couple principles to understand here. The first is that we're all one, right? And all of us being one, what you do to another, you actually are doing to yourself. So if you keep that principle in mind, then the second principle of at all times choose yourself comes easy. So I know that I did not cause any harm to anyone, but still, my old way of being would have been backwards for another person or have given more than I should for another person. And I this time was saying, no, I've given all that I can give. And I'm going to now choose myself. And that was a real difficult decision. And so, because that was a difficult decision for me, I would go into my meditations and try to, um, like relieve those emotions, like process those emotions. And as I asked Source, what was the reason for why I even encountered that situation to begin with? Like, how did things boil down to this? Like, I would not have thought in a million years that I would find myself in this situation. And Source gave me one answer repeatedly over and over, and that is self-love. Um, what Source was trying to tell me in that situation was that I needed to come across a situation where I had to choose myself because I had given so much to other people repeatedly, selflessly over time for so long that I started to put them above myself, and that could not happen. What you need to know about yourself in this spiritual awakening journey is that God loves you so much, but you also have to understand how much He wants you to love yourself. And that is one of the most principal lessons that has to be learned in this process is to return that love back to yourself. And I needed to learn that lesson very early on. And that was a lesson that I learned. And even though I accepted it, I struggled with it, honestly, for months afterwards before my body, like my nervous system calmed down and just really settled in the decision. And then even after that, I would still revisit it every so often. But the other times that I would revisit it, moving on from the situation, I came more and more into, yes, it was the right decision for me. And yes, I would choose self-love over and over and over again because we're co-creating with God, right? And so you have to be careful with how you choose things in life so that you don't position yourself in a situation where that would have to become a circumstance. And so oftentimes when I talk to friends, family, I often give them the advice of move in your most authentic self in your grandest, greatest self, what would you choose? Move in a way that delights your soul and your body. And that decision may not be agreeable to everyone. But as long as you keep that first rule, is what I mentioned before, which is we're all one, right? And what you do to another, you do to yourself, and you're doing no harm, then you can choose yourself over and over again without guilt, without shame, without feeling like you're a bad person. So that was a lesson that I had to learn in my spiritual awakening journey. And I'm just like tracking back because there's so much to talk about. Um, the next thing that I came across was I was really trying to get a better understanding of how to just come into like my oneness with Source. What you'll learn in your spiritual awakening journey is that you and Source are one. But the goal is to become one and to understand your oneness with Source, your creator. And the reason for that is because we come into this earth forgetting our oneness. And so in my process of trying to like wrap my mind around this whole oneness situation, I was reading a book and it was called Communion with God by Neil Donald Walsh. And I remember I was dropping my kids off to school and I take this road. It was a road that was like a back end road. It was not a lot of traffic. So I remember listening to this book and in audio and I'm driving and I'm listening. I'm in the car by myself. And I remember this aha moment happened for me on the road. And I say that because every time I'm on that road, all I can remember is that moment. It was like, I don't know how to explain it. It's like, oh my God, like I get it now. And I fully understood, I fully accepted that me and Source are one. And that was huge for me. I remember feeling a lot more powerful. I remember feeling lighter, unburdened. I remember for the first time really being able to have an opportunity to not look like I am in this world, but of this world, like really getting a grasp of that concept. And so I would go through situations and circumstances and I would feel various emotions, but then I would not feel it like I was in it. I would have the opportunity to feel it as if I was outside of myself, being the observer of the circumstance that I was in. But for me, I remember having the opportunity to experience that from the outside in. And that was really, really powerful. And so what I started doing then was starting to practice how to experience those emotions and then transmute that emotion to the opposite emotion. So if you are feeling fearful, how to transmute that to love. If you're feeling frustrated, how to transmute that to optimism. If you're feeling angry, how to transmute that to like lightness and love and laughter and so on and so forth. And the only way that I found myself being able to do that was being able to take this outside perspective. Now, when you're able to take this outside perspective, you really have to detach from the circumstances. So all you're left with is just the emotion. So you're detaching from the details, who said what, he said this happened first, this happened next. You're detaching from all of those details and just allowing yourself to feel the emotion. And so now when you detach yourself, you can fully pull yourself out of the situation. But I do this thing where I suggest this to my clients all the time, but I tell them to take the emotion and pull it outside of yourself, like pull it from here and then bring it just right here. Right. And then you do a deep breathing exercise where you just shrink it as you're deep breathing, just shrinking it smaller and smaller and smaller. So that's one way to just detach from the emotion. But when I came into my oneness, I noticed I was able to do that just a lot more swiftly, and I didn't have to use that exercise. It's the circumstances that really egg on the emotion and make them stronger and stronger and stronger. But you want to detach from the emotion and the details of the circumstance so that you can really start to understand yourself in that situation. So you want to ask questions like, why am I feeling this? Where is this coming from? Um, and if you're really on a higher consciousness, you'll ask, why did I create this? What in me is bringing this out? Those are some questions that you might want to ask yourself. So once you're able to detach from the emotion, then you're able to transmute the emotion. And the way to do that, you can deep breathe your way through that, or you can deep breathe and or begin to speak to yourself from a different direction. So instead of speaking to yourself with regards to the issues of the circumstance, like this frustrated me, I can't believe this person did this, and now he's gonna think that da 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 and blah blah blah, and I don't got time for that. You see how I'm egging myself on and I'm getting deeper and deeper and creating a spiral around that particular emotion. I can also similarly say that I am always safe, I am always comforted, I'm always loved, and no matter what happens, this is very small. None of this stuff is real anyways. So what if this or that happens? It's not a big deal. Like just really just switch the energy off to something else. And when you begin to drum up words and phrases and statements that allow you to go into the other direction, you're able to transmute that emotion. And you want to do that intentionally because emotions are the energy of manifestations. And just know that we manifest 24/7, whether we're conscious of it or not, whether it's intentional or not. But being able to use your emotions in a way where you are able to make it useful for yourself is really an exemplary of your oneness in you being a creator, in the sense that you're now being intentional about your moves and you're creating the environments and the circumstances that you actually desire. One question to ask yourself in that situation is, what would I love? And whatever it is that you would love, speak in that direction. And that would really, really help you to transmute your emotions over to the other emotion. There were a couple of manifestations that occur during that time, one of which I was able to receive six figures again. Um, this was my second time receiving it. I was also able to receive like influx of like work coming to me. I was also able to have a renewal in my business. So I have like a teddy bear line with my kids' business, and it had felt dead for a little bit. And as I began to learn more about manifestation and harnessing my energy, I was able to put more energy towards, and when I say put more energy towards, I mean meditate, visualize, and put more energy behind in my visualization that business. And we received like sales daily, which was incredible. And that really helped to revitalize that business. The manifestation that shocks me the most is actually one that has nothing to do with money, nothing to do with business, nothing to do with family, but it has to do with weather. Because I have triplets, I remember that whenever it would rain, we would have a driveway that we would park the car, still have the air on, and then unload the kids one by one. Now, if I'm by myself, I have to load them one by one. But if another person comes to help me, there's still one other baby that's kind of still lingering that we have to come back and get. But whenever the weather gets like stormy or rainy, it's really, really difficult for us to make those trips back and forth to get a baby. It's one thing to grab an umbrella and just like hustle a baby in and out the house. But when you have three of them all at the same age, meaning they don't walk, they don't talk, none of them can help themselves. It can be really, really difficult. And I remember one instance where it was around Christmas time and we were going to my husband's aunt's house and she had asked us to come. Now, to leave the house with the babies is a whole like it's a lot. Um, and so for us to go anywhere, just if we grace your presence is all I gotta say. It took us, moving so much just to unload and load the kids and to bring them to anyone's house. So anyways, we were headed to our house and we noticed that it started to rain. On the way to our house, we're on the highway and we have to slow down our speed on the highway to about 20 miles per hour because it was coming down so hard. Then we had to put on our hazard lights as well while we're driving on the highway, driving 20 miles. This is how hard it was raining. And I just simply asked Source, I was like, I would love, gotta speak God language now. I would love for when it's time for us to unload the kids and load the kids back in the car, that the rain just takes a pause. That's all I asked. And we continued driving and I didn't give it a second thought, meaning I did not have any limiting beliefs behind it. I did not engage in any questions about possibilities. I just left it alone. I just said that and left it alone. When I tell you the rain stopped when we got to our house, unloaded the kids, went to our house, enjoyed ourselves. When it was time for us to get back, it continued to rain afterwards. When we went back to load the kids back in a car after we were done with the visit, the rain had stopped again. Then when we started back to our house, headed down the highway to our house, it was raining again. But when we got to our house and started to unload the kids out the car, the rain had stopped for us. This has happened so many times that I had to ask my husband, like, do you ever remember it raining on the kids when we had to unload them? Because it just has not happened. And I don't ask every single time. Um, but there has never been a time we unloaded the kids out of the car and there had been rain on us while we were unloading the kids. And no matter what the weather state was at any given point in time, if it was like pouring down rain, or just sprinkling or whatever, it would literally just stop raining in our area for us to unload the kids. And I am just like, wow, that is amazing. There is one other manifestation that I'm like really, really proud of. It has to do with my son and, his development and how we were able to see him rapidly improve on his speech and other things that we saw that was just not where it was, where it needed. It's not related to money. It's not related to business, but sometimes these are the manifestations that really mean the most to your actual heart. It means the most to you. More than money, more than gold, more than silver, more than accolades, more than recognition, more than anything. Those are the manifestations that just really like sit with me heavy. So I want to pause this video here. I'm going to do a part 2 where I talk about how I received my light language. It's a whole conversation, so I want you to stay tuned for that video. If y'all have any questions about this journey that I've been on, I know I talked about a lot of different things, and there may be concepts that you don't fully understand. Please, 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 in the comment sections, leave a comment and ask the question. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have. Also, if you are thinking about working with me, I have some links in the description box on ways in which you can work with me. I will be having a couple of mini courses that I'll be offering. One is how to raise your vibrations. And then 2 would be how to manifest like a 2-year-old in honor of my triplets. How to manifest like a 2-year-old would be the other video that I'll also be offering pretty soon. So look out in the description box for that, and can't wait to see you guys on the next video. Bye.